Chioma's wedding dress was too white, too clean, too bright. It made her look like a lie. She stood inside the small room behind the hall, shaking like a leaf. Her hands clutched the front of her gown so tight that her knuckles turned pale. Tears kept falling, fast, hot, and unstoppable, so much that the makeup a neighbor had rushed to put on her face was already melting. Outside, people were singing, drums were beating, women were laughing and shouting, "Bride, bride!" But Chioma could only hear one thing inside her head. 70 years old. 70. The man she was being forced to marry was old enough to be her grandfather, and she was only 25. A loud knock hit the door. "Chioma, come out, stop crying," her aunt, Auntie Ngozi, shouted. Chioma flinched. Another knock. "Don't disgrace us today, oh. People are waiting." Chioma's heart pounded. Her chest felt tight like someone was sitting on it. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, but it didn't help. Tears still fell. "Please," she whispered, even though nobody was listening. Behind her, on the bed, her small brown bag sat quietly. Inside it was only one thing, a small piece of cloth she used to sew at night when everyone slept, because sewing was the only thing that ever made her feel like her life belonged to her. Another knock. This time the door opened without waiting for her answer. Auntie Ngozi entered, wearing a loud orange jewel and a shiny blouse that looked too expensive for their house. Her eyes were sharp, like she came to fight. Behind her was Uncle Chike, Chioma's uncle. He didn't smile. He never smiled at Chioma. He looked at Chioma like she was a tool, not a human being. "You're still here," Uncle Chike said, his voice cold. "Do you think today is a joke?" Chioma's lips trembled. "Uncle, please, I can't do it." Auntie Ngozi hissed loudly. "You can't do what? After all we have done for you?" Chioma stared at them, shocked. Done for her? They had done what for her? They were the people who made her wake up before the sun. The people who sent her to the market to sell goods like she was their worker. The people who insulted her if she ate one extra spoon of food. The people who refused every good man that came to ask for her hand. And now, after marrying off their own daughters one by one, after collecting bride price, gifts and food, they were now ready to remember Chioma, not with love, with punishment. "Uncle, I will work," Chioma begged. "I will do anything. Please don't marry me to that man." Uncle Chike's face didn't change. "Listen to me," he said slowly, like he was speaking to a stubborn child. "You have eaten in my house for years. You have worn clothes in my house. You have slept under my roof." Chioma's eyes widened. Auntie Ngozi pointed one long finger at her. "If you don't marry him today, you will leave this house with nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing." Chioma swallowed hard. "But he is old. He can't even walk well." Auntie Ngozi laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "That one is your business. He has money. He has land. He has a big house. You think love pays bills?" Chioma shook her head, tears rolling again. "But Uncle Chike cut her off. "You will marry him. That is final." Then he leaned closer and lowered his voice. "And don't try any nonsense. If you run, I will make sure nobody helps you. I will tell everybody you are a thief. I will tell them you are mad." Chioma's whole body went cold. Auntie Ngozi folded her arms. "Don't forget, the old man has already paid. We have collected the money. Do you want us to return it? Where will we get it from?" Chioma's throat burned. So that was it. They were not giving her away because they loved her. They were selling her. Right there, in her wedding dress. She looked down at her hands, shaking, and remembered her mother's face, soft, kind, always singing while cooking. She remembered her father lifting her up when she was small. She remembered the day they died in that accident and how everything changed like a door slamming. After their burial, Uncle Chike had smiled. Not because he was happy they died, but because he now had Chioma. Free worker, free helper, free property. Auntie Ngozi stepped closer and grabbed Chioma's chin. "Clean your face. You will not come out looking like a goat." Chioma turned her face away quickly. Auntie Ngozi's eyes narrowed. "You are stubborn." Then she hissed, "If you spoil this wedding, you will regret it." Uncle Chike turned to leave, but before he walked out, he said something that made Chioma's blood freeze. If I hear one more word of protest, I will lock you inside a room and carry you to his house like luggage." Then he left. Auntie Nosy followed, but not before slamming the door hard. Chioma stood still, breathing fast. Outside, the singing grew louder, the drums grew stronger. Someone shouted, "Where is the bride?" Chioma turned slowly and looked at herself in the mirror. The girl, staring back, looked like she was drowning. Her dress was beautiful, but her eyes were broken. She pressed her palm to her mouth to stop herself from crying loudly. Then she whispered the words she had been too scared to say out loud before, "I can't die like this." A soft knock came again, gentler this time. A small voice whispered, "Sister Chioma." It was Neka, her cousin, one of Auntie Ngozi's younger daughters who was still in secondary school. Neka was the only person in that house who sometimes looked at Chioma like she was human. Chioma opened the door slightly. Neka peeked in, her eyes full of pity. "They are calling you." Chioma forced a weak smile. "I know." Neka glanced around, then whispered, "Are you okay?" Chioma wanted to say the truth. "I am not okay. I am being sold." But she knew walls had ears in that house, so she only nodded. Neka looked like she wanted to cry too. "Sister Chioma, I'm sorry." Chioma swallowed the lump in her throat. "Neka, can you do something for me?" Neka blinked. "What?" Chioma looked at the door behind Neka. Then she lowered her voice until it was almost a breath. "I need 5 minutes." Neka frowned. 5 minutes for what? Chioma's mind raced. Her heart was beating like a drum inside her chest. She said the first thing that sounded normal. "I want to go inside the bathroom and clean my face properly. I look ugly." Neka's eyes softened. She nodded. "Okay, I will tell them you're touching up." Chioma grabbed Neka's hand tightly. "Please, tell them you saw me going inside. Tell them I am coming." Neka nodded again. "Yes, I will." Then Neka stepped out and closed the door. Chioma stood alone again. Silence filled the room for 1 second. Then Chioma moved, fast, not like a crying bride, like someone escaping fire. She ran to the bed, grabbed her small brown bag, and tied it quickly to her waist under the wedding dress. The bag disappeared under the gown like it was never there. Her hands shook, but she forced herself to breathe. "Think, Chioma," she whispered. "Think." Their house had a back door. Most people didn't use it during celebrations because they preferred the front where guests entered. That was where the music and dancing were. That was where everyone was looking. If she could reach the back door, Chioma moved to the small window and peeked out. She could see people gathered outside, smiling, holding plates, waiting. In the compound, aunties were busy. Men were dragging chairs, children were chasing each other, screaming with excitement. Nobody was watching the back. Nobody. Because today, for once, all their attention was on the wedding. And that was the one thing Chioma needed. She turned away from the window and opened the door slowly. The hallway was empty. Her feet stepped softly on the floor. She walked carefully, holding up her wedding dress so it wouldn't make noise. 1 step, 2 steps. Her ears listened for footsteps. Nothing. She reached the kitchen area. From there, she could smell jollof rice and fried meat. People were cooking like it was a festival. Someone laughed outside. Chioma's stomach twisted. She moved behind the kitchen wall, staying out of sight. Then she saw it, the back door. It was slightly open because someone had been moving things in and out earlier. Chioma's heart jumped. She moved closer, her whole body shaking. Then she heard Auntie Ngozi's voice from outside. "Where is that girl? What is taking her so long?" Chioma froze. Her breath stopped. Footsteps came closer, fast, angry footsteps. Chioma looked left, then right. If someone entered the kitchen now and saw her, everything would end. She rushed to the back door and slipped out. The air outside hit her face, hot and free. For a second, she almost cried louder from relief, but she didn't stop. She ran. Her wedding dress dragged on the ground. Dust flew up. Stones scratched her feet because she wasn't wearing shoes anymore. Her heels were left behind in the room. She ran past the backyard, past the small banana tree, past the broken fence. Then she reached the street. And that was when she heard it. A scream from the compound. Kioma has disappeared. The music inside the compound stopped for 1 second. Then voices rose like thunder. Where did she go? Find her. Block the road. Kioma's legs moved faster. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't have money. She didn't have a phone. She only had her life. She ran down the road in her white wedding dress, people turning to stare. Some laughed, some pointed, some looked confused. A small boy shouted, "Auntie, are you acting movie?" Kioma didn't answer, she just ran. Then suddenly, a car horn blasted loudly behind her. Beep, beep! Kioma turned her head in fear. A black car was coming fast. Too fast, she tried to jump away. But her wedding gown caught her leg. She tripped. Her body flew forward. The road rushed toward her face, and in that exact second, when she was sure her life was about to end, a strong hand grabbed her arm and yanked her back hard. Kioma fell into someone's chest instead of the road. She gasped loudly. The black car zoomed past with another angry horn. Kioma shook like someone who just escaped death. The person who held her didn't let go. Instead, a deep voice said close to her ear, "Are you trying to die? Why are you running in a wedding dress like this?" Kioma lifted her head slowly. Her eyes met the eyes of a stranger, a young man, tall, dark-skinned, clean-looking but not rich. His face was serious, but his eyes were kind. He looked at her torn dress, her dusty feet, her trembling lips. Then he glanced behind her. Far away down the road, Kioma could already see two men running out of her compound direction, searching. The stranger's voice dropped to a whisper. "Those people chasing you, are they coming for you?" Kioma opened her mouth, but no words came out, only tears. And in that moment, the stranger tightened his grip and said something that made Kioma's heart jump again. "Come with me. Now, before they reach you." And before Kioma could even think, he pulled her toward his car parked by the roadside. Kioma hesitated, because what if this was another trap? What if this man was worse? But behind her the footsteps were getting closer, the angry voices were louder, and Kioma had only one choice: trust a stranger, or return to a life that was already trying to bury her alive. She looked at the stranger's face again. He didn't look like a monster. He looked like help. So Kioma whispered, her voice broken, "Please, help me." The stranger nodded once. "Get in." Kioma stepped toward the car, but just as she reached for the door handle, a familiar voice screamed from the distance, "Kioma, stop there!" Kioma's blood turned to ice. She turned her head, and what she saw made her knees weak. Uncle Cheeky was already on the road, and he was running straight at her. Uncle Chike's voice cut through the air like a whip. Kioma's whole body shook. Her hand froze on the car door handle. Her heart began to beat so fast it hurt. Uncle Chike was running toward her, his face red with anger. Behind him were two other men from the compound. One of them was breathing hard. The other was shouting her name like she was a thief. People on the road had started to stop and stare. Why is she running in a wedding dress? Is it a movie? What did she do? Kioma felt small, exposed, weak. Her knees almost gave way. Then the stranger spoke. "Get in, now." His voice was firm, calm, not angry, not confused. Just sure. Kioma looked up at him again. His eyes were still kind, but now they were sharp too, like he had already made a decision. Uncle Cheek was getting closer. "You useless girl," Uncle Chike shouted. "Come back here now." Kioma remembered the locked rooms, the insults, the fear, the old man waiting for her. She didn't think anymore. She pulled the door open and jumped into the car. The stranger slammed the door shut, ran to the driver's side, and entered quickly. The engine roared to life. Uncle Chike reached the car just as it began to move. "Stop!" he screamed, banging his hand on the car. The stranger didn't stop. The tires screeched as the car sped forward. Kioma looked through the window and saw Uncle Chike fall back, shouting curses into the air. The road rushed past. Her breath came out in short, broken gasps. She was shaking so badly her teeth were clicking. The stranger drove for a while without saying anything. Kioma hugged herself, her wedding dress now dirty, torn at the edges. Her feet were black with dust. Her hair had come loose. She looked like a ghost of a bride. After some minutes, the stranger slowed down and turned into a quiet street. He parked beside a small shop that was already closed. He turned off the engine. Silence filled the car. Kioma suddenly realized she was alone in a car with a man she didn't know. Fear crept in again. The stranger turned toward her slowly and raised both hands. "Relax," he said gently. "I won't hurt you." Kioma nodded, though her heart was still racing. "My name is Alex," he said. "What is your name?" "Kioma," she whispered. Alex studied her face. He could see the fear, the tears, the pain that didn't look new. "Are those people your family?" he asked. Kioma hesitated. Then she shook her head. "Not my family. My uncle." Alex frowned slightly. "Why were they chasing you?" Kioma swallowed hard. Her throat felt dry. "They wanted to marry me off today," she said softly. Alex looked surprised. "You mean this wedding?" Kioma nodded slowly. "To who?" Alex asked. She closed her eyes. "A 70-year-old man." Alex's eyebrows shot up. 70. She nodded again, tears spilling over. "They refused all good men that came for me," she continued, her voice shaking. "They waited until their daughters got married. Then they brought that old man." Alex clenched his jaw. "That's wicked," he said quietly. Kioma hugged herself tighter. "I begged them. I cried. They didn't listen." She looked down at her dress. "So I ran." Alex leaned back in his seat and let out a slow breath. "You were brave," he said. Kioma laughed weakly. "I was scared." "Sometimes bravery comes from fear," Alex replied. They sat quietly for a moment. Then Alex asked, "Do you have anywhere to go?" Kioma shook her head. "No money." She shook her head again. "No phone?" Another shake. Alex sighed. "Okay," he said finally. "You can come with me. At least for now." Kioma's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," Alex said. "I have a small place. It's not fancy, but it's safe." Kioma stared at him. "Why are you helping me?" she asked in a small voice. Alex paused. Then he said, "Because someone once helped me when I had nothing." Kioma felt something warm move in her chest. She nodded. "Thank you." Alex started the car again. As they drove, Kioma watched the road carefully, afraid they might see Uncle Chike or someone from the compound. But the streets grew quieter. After some time, Alex parked in front of a small one-room apartment building. The paint was peeling. The gate squeaked when he opened it. "This is it," Alex said. Kioma stepped out of the car slowly. She looked around. It wasn't big, but it wasn't frightening. Alex opened the door to his room. Inside was simple. A small bed, a table, 2 chairs, a sewing machine near the window. Clothes folded neatly in one corner. Kioma's eyes went straight to the sewing machine. "You sew?" she asked softly. Alex smiled a little. "Yes. It's how I make a living." Kioma's heart skipped. "I sew too," she said quickly. "Fashion, clothes." Alex looked surprised. "Really?" She nodded eagerly. "Since I was young." Alex smiled wider. "Then you're welcome here." He handed her a towel. "You can clean up. I'll get you something to eat." Kioma nodded, holding the towel like it was gold. She went into the small bathroom and locked the door. As soon as she was alone, she slid down to the floor and cried. Not loud, just deep, shaking tears. For the life she escaped. For the life she didn't know was waiting. After she cleaned up and changed into one of Alex's old shirts that was too big for her, she came out. Alex gave her a plate of rice and stew. She ate slowly, like someone who hadn't eaten in a long time. "You can rest," Alex said. "No one knows you're here." Kioma nodded. That night she lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. She thought of her parents. She thought of Uncle Chike's angry face. She thought of the old man waiting in his big house. And she thought of Alex, a stranger who saved her life. Outside, the city slept. But far away, Uncle Chike sat with Auntie Ngozi, his face dark with anger. "She escaped," he said bitterly. Auntie Ngozi slammed her hand on the table. "We must find her." Uncle Chike nodded slowly. "We will." He picked up his phone. "I know someone," he said. "Someone who can track her." Back in Alex's small room, Kioma turned on her side. She didn't know it yet, but her escape had just started something bigger, something dangerous, something that would test her courage more than she ever imagined. And somewhere in the city, someone was already looking for her. Morning came quietly, sunlight slipped through the small window and touched Kioma's face. For a moment, she forgot where she was. She stretched slightly, then froze. The room was not her uncle's house. No shouting, no orders, no fear waiting at the door. She sat up slowly on the bed and looked around. The small room was neat. Alex's sewing machine sat by the window, shining softly in the morning light. A few finished clothes were folded on the table. The air smelled calm. Kioma's heart beat slower. She was safe. At least for now. She stood up quietly and walked to the window. Outside, people were already moving. A woman swept her front yard. A man pushed a wheelbarrow. Life was going on like nothing happened yesterday. Kioma touched her chest. I ran away in a wedding dress, she thought. Her hands began to shake again. What if Uncle Chike found her? What if the old man sent people after her? What if Alex regretted helping her? A knock came on the door. Kioma jumped. Kioma, Alex's voice came softly. Are you awake? She breathed out. Yes. Alex opened the door and smiled. He was already dressed in a simple shirt and trousers. I'm going out to buy food, he said. I'll be back soon. Lock the door after me. Kioma nodded. Thank you. Before leaving, Alex stopped. No matter what you hear, don't open the door for anyone. Kioma's stomach tightened. Is something wrong? Alex hesitated. Just be careful. Then he left. The door closed. The lock clicked. Kioma sat down slowly. Alex's words stayed in her head. Be careful. She walked back to the sewing machine and touched it gently. It reminded her of the nights she used to sew secretly at her uncle's house, using leftover fabric, hiding her work under the bed. Fashion was her dream, not marriage, not suffering. She whispered, I won't go back. Hours later, Alex returned with food. They ate together in silence. Then Alex said, You can't stay inside forever. Kioma nodded. I know. I can help you find work, Alex continued, but you need to change your look. Your family might still be searching. Kioma's heart sank. They won't stop. Alex looked at her seriously. Then we won't let them find you. That afternoon, Alex took her to a small second-hand clothes shop. Kioma changed her clothes, tied her hair differently, and wore a face cap. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. For the first time in her life, she smiled freely. They returned home safely. Days passed. Kioma stayed indoors mostly. Alex brought fabric scraps home, and Kioma began to sew. Her hands remembered everything. She made a simple dress, then another. Alex watched quietly, impressed. You're really good, he said. Kioma's eyes shone. It's all I have. Alex nodded. Then let's build with it. But while Kioma was slowly rebuilding her life, something dark was moving. Far away, inside a small sitting room with cracked walls, Uncle Chike paced back and forth. She didn't just disappear, he said angrily. Someone helped her. Auntie Ngozi folded her arms. We will lose everything if that old man demands his money back. Uncle Chike stopped walking. I hired someone, he said slowly. Auntie Ngozi's eyes widened. Who? A private tracker, Uncle Chike replied. He finds people, no matter where they hide. Auntie Ngozi smiled for the first time since the wedding. Good, she said. That girl thinks she has escaped. Uncle Chike picked up his phone and spoke coldly. Find her, he said. I don't care how. Back at Alex's place, Kioma finished sewing a beautiful dress. Alex held it up. This can sell. Kioma nodded excitedly. I can make more. They shared a hopeful look, but just then, a knock came at the door. Kioma's smile vanished. Alex stiffened. They looked at each other. Another knock, louder. Kioma whispered, Alex. Alex walked quietly to the door and looked through the peephole. His face changed. Don't move, he whispered. Outside stood a man Kioma had never seen before, tall, cold eyes, holding a phone. He knocked again. Open up, the man said calmly. I'm looking for someone. Kioma's heart pounded. Alex's hand shook slightly as he backed away from the door. The man outside smiled faintly. "I know she's here." The man's voice came through the door again, calm, slow, and dangerous. Kioma felt like her heart stopped beating. Her legs went weak. She grabbed the edge of the table to steady herself. Every bad memory rushed back at once: her uncle's threats, her aunt's anger, the old man's lifeless eyes. Alex raised one finger to his lips, telling her to stay silent. The man knocked again, this time harder. "Open the door," he said. "Let's not make this difficult." Alex took a deep breath. He whispered, "Go into the bathroom. Lock it. No matter what happens, don't come out unless I call you." Kioma shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "Alex, please." "Go," he said softly but firmly. Kioma turned and ran into the small bathroom. She locked the door and pressed her hand over her mouth to stop herself from crying out loud. Outside, Alex walked to the door and opened it slowly. "Yes?" Alex asked calmly. The man outside smiled. Up close, he looked even scarier. His eyes were empty, like he felt nothing. "I'm looking for a young woman," the man said. "She ran away from her family. Wedding dress, very dramatic." Alex shrugged. "I don't know what you're talking about." The man chuckled. "You don't look like a liar, but everyone lies." He raised his phone and showed Alex a picture. It was Kioma. Her heart dropped. The picture was old, but it was clearly her. Alex kept his face straight. "I've never seen her." The man leaned closer. "Think carefully, because if I leave and later find out you lied—" He didn't finish the sentence. Alex swallowed. "I live alone." The man glanced around the room. His eyes moved slowly, from the sewing machine to the table to the closed bathroom door. He smiled. "Mind if I check?" he asked. Alex's chest tightened. "I do," Alex said. "You don't have a warrant." The man laughed softly. "This isn't police work." He stepped forward anyway. Alex blocked him. For a second, the room felt too small to breathe in. The man stared at Alex for a long moment. Then he stepped back. "All right," he said calmly. "I'll leave." Alex relaxed slightly, but the man wasn't done. As he turned away, he said quietly, "Tell Kioma she can't run forever." Then he walked away. Alex shut the door and locked it fast. Kioma burst out of the bathroom, shaking. "He knows. He knows." Alex nodded slowly. "Yes. And that means we have to move. Now." They didn't pack much. Kioma grabbed her small bag and the dresses she had sewn. Alex unplugged the sewing machine and wrapped it quickly. They left through the back gate just as night began to fall. They walked fast, changed buses twice, took streets Kioma had never seen before. Finally, they reached a crowded area full of noise and lights. "This place will hide us," Alex said. "For now." They entered a small shared apartment where Alex knew someone. It was tight, loud, but nobody paid attention to anyone. That night, Kioma couldn't sleep. She kept seeing the man's cold eyes. "You can't run forever." The next morning, Alex came back with news. "I found a small shop space," he said. "Not big, but you can start sewing there." Kioma's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," Alex said. "It's cheap, hidden, and busy." Hope flickered inside her again. Weeks passed. Kioma worked day and night. She sewed dresses. People noticed. Orders came. Money came. Small at first, then more. For the first time, Kioma felt proud of herself. She sent no message home. She cut all ties. But freedom always has a price. One evening, as Kioma closed the shop, she felt someone watching her. She turned quickly. No one. She walked faster. A shadow moved. Her heart began to race. Then a voice spoke behind her. "Kioma." She froze. Slowly she turned. Standing there was Auntie Ngozi. Her aunt smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We finally found you," Auntie Ngozi said softly. Kioma's legs trembled. Behind her aunt, Uncle Cheek stepped out of the darkness, and beside him was the old man. Alive, watching her, smiling. Kioma's body went cold. The streetlights flickered above them, casting long shadows on the ground. For a moment, nobody spoke. The noise from the nearby shops faded from Kioma's ears. All she could hear was her own heartbeat. Thud, thud, thud. Uncle Cheek stood with his hands behind his back, looking proud, like a man who had finally caught a runaway goat. Auntie Ngozie's smile was sharp and satisfied. And beside them stood the old man. 70 years old, his back was bent, his eyes were dull, his lips curved into a slow, creepy smile. "There you are," Auntie Ngozi said sweetly. "We have been looking everywhere for you." Kioma's hands shook, but she forced herself to stand straight. "I am not going anywhere with you," she said, her voice low but clear. Uncle Chika laughed. "You don't get to choose." The old man stepped forward. "My wife," he said slowly, "you embarrassed me." Kioma felt sick. "Stop calling me that," she snapped. "I am not your wife." People began to notice. A few shop owners paused. Some customers slowed down to watch. Auntie Ngozi leaned closer. "Don't make a scene. Come quietly." Kioma shook her head. "No." Uncle Chika's face darkened. "You think you are bold now because you have money." Kioma laughed bitterly. "I think I am bold because I am human." Just then, "Step away from her." Alex's voice cut through the air. Kioma turned sharply. Alex was standing behind her, breathing hard. His eyes were calm but firm. Two men stood beside him. One was the landlord of the shop area, the other a uniformed security officer. Uncle Cheek frowned. "Who are you again?" Alex stepped forward. "Someone who knows the law." The security officer cleared his throat. "We received a report of harassment and forced marriage." Auntie Ngozi's smile vanished. "Harassment? Forced marriage? She is our family." Alex spoke calmly. "She is an adult." She said no. "That is enough." The old man scoffed. "I paid bride price." The officer looked at him. "Bride price does not cancel consent." People began to whisper. A woman shouted, "Leave the girl alone." Another man said, "She is too young for that old man." Uncle Chike's confidence began to crumble. Alex turned to Kioma. "Tell them the truth." Kioma took a deep breath. She faced the small crowd. "My parents died when I was young," she said. "My uncle took me in. But he used me. He worked me like a slave. He rejected good men who came for me. He waited until his daughters married. Then he sold me to an old man." Gasps filled the air. "I ran because I wanted to live," Kioma finished. Silence followed. Then the landlord shook his head slowly. "This is wickedness." The security officer stepped forward. "Sir," he said to Uncle Chike, "you and your wife need to leave, now." Uncle Chike opened his mouth to argue, but the eyes watching him were many. Auntie Ngozi grabbed his arm. "Let's go," she hissed angrily. The old man stared at Kioma one last time. "You will regret this." Kioma met his eyes. "No, you will." They turned and walked away, defeated, embarrassed, powerless. As their figures disappeared into the night, Kioma's knees gave way. Alex caught her. "It's over," he said softly. "They can't touch you again." Kioma cried, but this time not from fear, from relief. Months later, Kioma's fashion shop had grown. What started as a small hidden space became a bright little store with a sign outside. Customers came from different places, some even waited in line. Kioma smiled more, she laughed more, she slept peacefully. She had cut all ties with her old life. One afternoon, Kioma stood inside her shop arranging dresses. Alex walked in, holding 2 bottles of cold water. "You're famous now," he teased. Kioma laughed. "I'm just free." She looked around her shop, the sewing machines, the fabrics, the mirrors. Then she looked at Alex. "Thank you," she said softly. "You saved my life." Alex shook his head. "You saved yourself. I just opened the door." Kioma smiled. She was no longer the crying bride, no longer the scared orphan. She was a woman who chose her own life. And for the first time since her parents died, Kioma was truly home. 2 years later, Kioma stood in front of her own house. It wasn't a mansion, but it was beautiful. A clean, quiet bungalow with cream walls, flowers by the window, and a small gate she could lock whenever she wanted. For the first time in her life, the key in her hand belonged to her. Inside the house was peace. No shouting, no fear, no one ordering her around. Her fashion business had grown beyond the small shop. She now had workers, young girls like her, girls with dreams that only needed a chance. Kioma paid them well and treated them kindly because she knew what it felt like to be used. Her designs were worn by confident women. Some of her dresses even appeared on social media, bringing her more customers and respect. Every morning, Chioma woke up with purpose. She planned her day. She cooked what she liked. She rested when she was tired. She smiled often. Sometimes she sat in her living room and thought about the girl who once ran in a wedding dress with nothing but fear. That girl was gone. In her place stood a strong woman, independent, successful, and free. Kioma had her own house, her own business, her own life, and no one would ever take that from her again. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for amazing stories.